Welcome to So Much Crime, So Little Time, Summer Shorts. I am Jeff.
Whoop. And I'm Dee, and for our summer series, we're recapping single episode stories. Here we're discussing Murder They Wrote, episode 73, The Kidnapped Duke. This was released on the 18th of May, 2025. And it's all about a crime that happened back in 1961 in London. I'm excited to jump into our discussion about this.
I just want to preface this by saying to Dee, I was not alive in 1961. I don't remember this.
What?
If you haven't listened...
I chose poorly then. I was hoping one of us could give some context on this.
Was not there. If you haven't listened yet, check out our preview episode of the show. It is the one before this one in your feed, and you can also find a link for Murder They Wrote, The Kidnapped Duke, in our show notes.
All right, Jeff. I think this show to me, reminds me a little bit of what I kind of think we're like, in that we have this back and forth and like a bit of a what the fuck discussion about something, but there's obviously a lot of things that aren't the same about us. I'm wondering, like, I love their dynamic. Laura Whitmore and Ian Sterling, they vibe really well together. I'm just wondering what's your take on the show overall?
I got a little problem with the host of this show, and I'm going to tell you what it is.
Oh, you couldn't understand them?
No, so here's the thing. I think there's some people at the train station that I wait at in the morning on my way to work who might think I am a little deranged because I was standing on the platform waiting for the train to arrive and just laughing.
At Ian Sterling or Laura Whitmore, or both?
Both.
Oh my God, they're so funny, aren't they?
This was a hilarious podcast about a ridiculous crime.
Yeah.
And I love a heist story. I love a story like
this. A heist.
This had so many funny lines. I found myself writing down a bunch of funny things they said. They had a bunch of goofy references, some really deep cut references. There's a Ghostbusters 2 reference. I love a Ghostbusters 2 reference.
I know. I think you have to remember, and maybe like this is context for everyone listening if they don't know already, they're married. They've been together for like quite a while. So obviously, they've been through lockdown and stuff together. I feel like there's a lot of their nearly like secret jokes, or I don't know, something that come out. I've listened to a number of episodes of this podcast before. Really enjoy it. Listened to them a lot more before we started listening to podcasts, and I actually had to listen to shit. But one of my favorite parts was when they were talking about Goya. And they were like, "There's so much you can do with this," and then Laura says, "Like, go on." I can't remember what she says. Was it Goya?
You Goya be kidding me? Goya,
no.
Goya gone?
Goya gone. And Ian was like, "Oh my God, like, I'm so proud of you. That is hilarious." And she's like, "Is that the most proud you've ever been?" And he's like, "No, there's a couple of other times I've been proud of you. Like, she's birthed his child." And like, she's like, "Is it when I turned up at our wedding?" I don't know. I just think there's all this back and forth that I just really enjoy with their dynamic. That is just very natural. I think there's a lot of times you hear podcast hosts like trying to force kind of connection or like a vibe, and with them it's just all so natural.
Like the feedback we get from people, our listeners, that this is just so like awkward and stiff.
Exactly. People are like, "Why do you pretend that like this is in any way fun?" I also think there's some elements of this that I don't know, I felt. Do you know when there was a break for ads and then they came back and he was like, "Remind our listeners of what you've heard"? It felt to me like she was rattling off a script, like either that she had taken notes or, that they had planned it and like kind of prepped it to make it more succinct. And that kind of actually jarred me a bit. It's not actually something I've heard before in their podcasts, but it jarred me a bit because it felt not as natural as the rest of the conversation. Does that make sense?
It does. I don't know that I noticed that, though. But I wanted to ask you something sort of related to what you're talking about, which is, so I've not listened to this podcast before. This is the first time I've listened to this. And this is an episode about a painting getting stolen or borrowed, I guess, not actually stolen.
Yeah, it's so funny.
A sort of ridiculous
Technically,
ransom.
the definition of a stolen is if you don't intend to give it back. And they're like, wait a second. If someone takes my TV for a football match but then decides not to give it back.
My question is,
sorry,
having listened to other episodes of this, in a more serious crime where people actually get hurt or there's like real consequences, which there really didn't seem to be any real consequences here, like how does that tone work? Like, is it just as sort of goofy, or do they mostly do crimes that are a little lighter?
No, they do quite a lot of murders.
Are they respectful?
But they deal with a lot of stuff that happened a long time ago. Okay, you know when we were reviewing and interviewing Ben Morris from Crime Capsule, and we were saying like, well, you know, this is a story that happened a long time ago. How do you make sure that you retain like some composure? And like, obviously you've got a little bit more wiggle room with time. It's easier to be more lighthearted.
Sure.
I think what Ian and Laura do well is the things they make lighthearted are not the gruesome components, I suppose. You know, it's with this story.
I mean, that's something we've talked about with our show, right? Like that's something we try to tread that line.
Because you want to bring the balance. You don't want to just be all like gruesome or all very down. Like you want to bring a bit of jovialness. But like even with some of the perpetrators and their stupidity, or like the police if they're like not doing their job, we don't hold back on that.
Sure.
We don't victim blame. I think we're very conscious that that's not something we ever want to go down.
Right.
I think they do a good job of balancing like the comedy and this. And it's interesting because they cover a lot within quite a short episode.
It's a short episode. Yeah, you're right. And can I ask you, were you offended when they made reference to the line, Ireland's so full of itself it calls its yellow pages the golden pages?
No, you see, you don't get the joke. Because years like when we were growing up, we had the golden pages, which is like like a phone book, but for businesses. Okay. So it's really thick. Like,
yeah.
Did you guys have the yellow pages here?
Yeah. Oh, sure. Yeah.
We had the golden page. I don't know why they called it the golden pages, but anyway. But like, I just think that's funny. Like, that's just like, that's crack between two people who are clearly like on either sides of, you know, the Irish Sea. Also, like, he's from Scotland. He's no affiliation. He's with the Irish. Not that has to have anything to do with it. We don't have to be with or against.
Should we talk about the crime at the center of this?
I think one of the main things that I would like to talk about is how there was so many twists and turns, but that ending and the justice system, isn't it so nice when you hear the justice system prevailing? Like the fact that it was such a hilarious like conviction in the end. Like he gets done for stealing the frame but not the painting, because he was never planning on keeping the painting even though he kept it for years. Like what? Like what? And Laura gives an example, like if someone comes in and just takes my dress but plans to give it back to me, even if they never give it back to me, like that's not stealing. That's wild. Like that can't be the definition of stealing. Like if you don't ask for permission, surely that is what stealing is. No,
I feel like this is sort of the typical, not typical, this is sort of a great example of low stakes, heartwarming true crime.
Yeah.
I think it's like a little bit ironic that this is the story that you chose to bring to our summer short series, whereas I brought Matthew Shepard so far.
Oh, it's because you've turned a corner though. Like even in your spare time, you're listening to true crime.
You're going to keep bringing that up.
No, I'm not.
That happened.
I'm listening to like, you know, low stakes gossip. I am watching the Secret Lives of Mormon Housewives, Jeff. I am balancing this shit out. You've gone deep. You just can't see the light now. You're just in that tunnel and you're like, this is my life now.
Well, I will say.
You're welcome.
Thanks. Yeah, I appreciate that. I love what this has done to me. I would definitely listen to more of this show. If you want to bring more of this show for us to discuss. This was a lot of fun and really enjoyed it. Happy to listen
I
to more
enjoy
with
that
these two.
anyone on the train thinks you're correct. I think that's hilarious. Come here. I have one more thing to note. Can we discuss how cute that the son was? That he cared so much about his dad's strong feelings that he actually went and stole his painting. Like, that's pretty cute. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want my kids to go and steal shit when they grow up. But also, if I care a lot about something and they go out of their way to like do something about it, I think that's adorable.
It is. It is. I guess one last thing too. Have you looked at this painting? The Duke of Wellington by Goya?
Who the F is paying for this shit?
It's,
Like a rosy cheeked white fella.
I gotta say, I've spent some time in some art galleries that are full
Oh,
of
of course you
paintings like
have.
this.
Do you have an art degree?
I don't have an art degree.
Not yet. Not yet. Growth mindset. 4 in the bag, 1 on the way.
Anyway, my point is, these are my least favorite kind of paintings. These sort of portraits of rich white people that I just like, I couldn't care less about. I find them so uninteresting. And yeah,
Yeah, is it rich white people or is it just rich people who have too much money though?
it's usually
Like-
white people.
I mean, yeah, I suppose. So you're going to listen to more of these and laugh out loud on the train. And you're going to tell me anytime you listen to one of these and laugh out loud and make yourself look ridiculous on the train. So I would really appreciate that.
I can. Are there any particular episodes you would recommend, or any that or just any? Just jump in anywhere.
I haven't listened to any of the recent ones because, as I said, like we've been like hey-hoing through the podcast right now. But like this would be one I would go to when I want something kind of more lighthearted, but like one episode. I think it's good. But Jeff, you know, like you're starting to do a bit of a cycle train. You know, you're edging into exercising on the way to work. So you're like cycling to the train and then commuting in that form. And you mentioned how like this podcast in particular made you laugh out loud and like really, you know, get into the vibes of the podcast. It feels like while you're in the vibes of that podcast, it would be a really good time to be like, God, you know what I should do? I should go to patreon.com/so much crime, so little time. I'm just standing here on the train doing nothing. I should be more efficient with my time. Like if you sign up there, you know, you get longer time machines, early release episodes, bonus content, outtakes, and also you get to support the show, which will not only make you laugh out loud from the outtakes and all the bonus content, but it will also give you the warm fuzzy feeling inside that you don't need in California in the summer when it's frickin' roasting. That's patreon.com/so much crime, so little time. Thanks.
And also, before we go, if you'd enjoyed our discussion, leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. We would love to hear from you. We've gotten some great comments. We actually have a bunch of new listeners lately. And if you are one of our new listeners, make sure you've left a rating on Apple, Spotify, wherever you're listening. 5 stars really helps other people find the show. And also telling friends. If you're on the train, you're listening to us right now, why don't you stand up on the train and just start addressing the whole train car.
So much crime.
People really love it on their commute when someone sort of commandeers everyone's attention and starts talking about a podcast that they love.
Fuck, don't do that. That's going to down our ratings, Jeff.
All right, we're coming back next Thursday with another preview and a trip in the time machine.
We'll introduce you to a crime and get ready to listen to the story before coming back with a recap like this one to discuss it.
That's the next So Much Crime.
So little time.
So Much Crime, So Little Time is a production of Mind Glove Media. The executive producer is Paxton Caloriso. Our associate producer is Blythe Ty. Our theme music was composed by Vyacheslav Starostin. If you haven't done it yet, please subscribe to this show on your podcast app. And don't forget to give us a 5-star rating and a review. Even better, tell your friends. To join the discussion, look for us on social media. Check out the show notes for all the links. Thanks for listening.